thank everyone for joining us for the regular meeting of the Lafayette Township Board of Trustees and the Fire District. Today is Tuesday, March 31st, 7 p.m. I'd like to call your meeting to order. If I could get roll call.
Bala here.
Paroli here. We have Fiscal Officer Ward here, and Trustee Kittle is out of town. If I could have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We just have the one item on the consent agenda for tonight, which are the meeting minutes from March 17th.
I'll make the motion to approve minutes.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so we've got the consent agenda has been approved. The first item on the agenda for tonight is we have Medina City Police Chief Ed Kinney with us this evening to go over traffic and incident review at the intersection of 162 and Ryan Road.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me tonight. I just want to come in and give a quick update on the intersection of Ryan and Wedgwood. As many of you know, a year ago, March 25th, 2025, ODOT installed a four-way stop sign at that intersection. And the reason that stop sign, the extra two stop signs to create that four-way stop sign was installed there was because we had many traffic collisions in that area, injury crashes as well. So ODOT took this step to attempt to mitigate those. We wrote letters of support for either a roundabout or four-way stops at that intersection because of the crashes that were occurring there. So we did a traffic study on the intersection for the last 5 years. And I submitted a packet to the trustees as well. This control period was from 2021 to 2025. And it is from March to March. Since they installed the stop signs in March, we wanted to go back to prior years and compare apples to apples, those March segments. So in the 21 to 22 period, there's 4 crashes. The 22 to 23 period, 3 crashes. The 23 to 24 period, there were 5 crashes. And the last data set prior to the intersection going to four-way, 24 to 25, there are 6 crashes. All of those prior year crashes, several of them were injury crashes as well. So they weren't just property damage only, they were injury crashes. In 25 to 26, March of 25 to March of 26, since they put the stop signs in, there have been 2 crashes and they were property damage only crashes. Those stop signs, once they were implemented, we added extra patrol to the area for probably about 2 months, intensive extra patrol to bring awareness that the intersection had changed, and also to stop and warn or cite the violators who went through the stop signs there. I believe the numbers show that it's effective. We're not done watching the intersection. Part of my recommendation as a follow-up is to continue with the extra patrol at that intersection, and we'll reevaluate year by year to ensure that those numbers stay down, and if there's any other mitigating actions we can take to decrease any of the crashes at that intersection. But I think 2 within a 1-year period is a pretty good result. Happy to answer any questions regarding the intersection or anything else law enforcement related.
What have you had feedback like from the public on the four-way stop? Have you received anything?
Initially it was confusing for folks because obviously it was a change, but I think overall people were appreciative of the change. It slowed traffic down in that Wedgwood area where we continuously get speed complaints. That's one of the biggest complaints we get from township residents is traffic and speed on whether it be 162, Chippewa, Lake, Ryan, some of those major thoroughfares. We get quite a few complaints about speeding cars, people not obeying the stop signs. So when we get those complaints, we assign the officers to provide extra patrol in those areas, and we found that to be effective. Maybe some of you have seen our speed signs that we put out. They're small traffic calming devices. It flashes if the traffic is going too fast, and that seems to be a pretty effective measure to slow people down as well.
Thank you.
Did anybody else have any questions for Chief Kinney? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
And we will get these loaded up onto the website as well if anybody would like to be able to view traffic studies. The next item on the agenda is our fiscal reports. First item we have is payroll for the township. Township payroll for the pay period of March 1st, March 15th through March 28th. Hey Sherry, you wanna take a look at this one? It looks, yeah. Double check, maybe I grabbed the wrong one. Sorry. Can you double check Matt's on there real quick for me? There's just a typo on the report, the pay period.
Oh, yeah, I can fix that, cause I have to process that, yeah. I have to go back and fix something if you don't manually go back and change the, I'll do it right now, I'm sitting here.
I say to give the dollar, can you just update the dollar amount?
Yeah, you
for
just
me?
update the date, or something.
Oh, so it's,
It's just the date.
the amounts are correct, the
Amounts
dates
are
are
right,
just off?
it's just the pay period,
Okay, well,
it's
it's
supposed to be 3/15, but I had to go back out, that's all.
gotcha, alright. Then we are fine there, okay. So I've got township pay period, March, 15th through March 28th. Total amount of $6,279. I would make a motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we have payment listings. Did you get a chance to review the checks?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or discussion points on these?
No, I was just talking to Sherry, the one, the Workers Bureau compensation one. That was-
Right, yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
need to, that's a split invoice between the fire department and the township. The way that that's billed, and I don't know, Sherry, do you wanna maybe explain just real fast kinda how that,
Well, the way
Works and
workman's
what the-
comp works is you pay, like I just paid for 26 up to 27, and
Right.
then you do your true-up report. They bill you, they estimate it for this year, and then when you're, after you give them your true-up report for the actual year, then you either have a credit or you have a debit. So we paid this year's, and then I did the true-up report, and it said that we owe them $59,000. There was a bill that we had before that said there was the $37,000, something to do with a grant recollection, which.
from
none of us even know
24,
what that- Yeah.
24, 25?
Yeah, for $37,000, and they don't, I've been working with Sedgwick, which is our go-between with workman's comp, and, she's not even sure why that happened. I talked to Brian, he said that grant was done, he has all the paperwork, he was in classes all day, he was gonna get that today, when he came back to see what that's all about, and so we'll set up a Teams meeting with her, probably you, Brian, and I, and just see, cause she hasn't found an answer yet, as of 4 o'clock this afternoon, she has not got an answer from workman's comp on why that was so huge, so. Cause that was on top of the 10,000 and some other change we paid already, you know. So I don't really have an answer for that, but like you and I talked today, it's better to just pay it for now, so we're not incurring late fees and penalties.
The concern is, depending on how Bureau of Workers' Comp is calculating that, if they've got something that's, an owed balance from a true-up that was done in the past, which is just an equalization of your forecasted versus what your actuals were, we may be incurring additional penalties and fees. We don't wanna put the township in a situation where we're doing that. Plus, it's not uncommon for these types of credits and offsets, and they will just, if it gets squared away and the invoice isn't something that we should be, you know what I mean, like if it's, if it's just that grant issue that was recollected that shouldn't have been, they'll just refund the money. So that's kind of the decision that's before the board, is whether we wanna pay it and potentially pay something in it, that isn't actually what we owe, or whether we wanna run the risk of paying those additional fees. It looks like it's that 24-25 grant recollection, which is gonna be quick. And we had equipment that we had purchased on a BWC grant, and some of it was for the fire department, some of it was for the township, for the service department. And then, the only other thing that we were able to tell when we were looked at is potentially, it could have been the true-up report at the end of 24, before Sherry took over as the fiscal officer, because of the way that that's done on an annual basis, if that true up came in, you know, after the normal period for handling it, and then Sherry wouldn't have been looking for it in June or July, you know, that may be a piece of it too, but as she mentioned, Sedgwick, back to our last meeting, you know, this is where Sedgwick comes in, this is what we pay them for as administrator, to kind of be this go-between to assist in not only making sure that we're being billed the appropriate rates for our workers' comp, or potentially getting us lower rates, but also to handle these types of clarification issues, because BWC is not always the easiest to deal with. So there was that one. There were a couple of them that I had a question on. We have an invoice in here from the Village of Chippewa Lake for $375.
That's the stop sign in the plough season, they ran over one of the stop signs in there and they billed us for it.
Did we,
Stop sign.
We did,
It said it was their entrance or exit sign.
something like that, yeah, I think so. Was it, yeah, entrance? It might be actually.
At their-
I know they hit it with the plough, they did mow it down quite heavily, and that did come in as an invoice into us, which I saw quite a few
It was
weeks
like
ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it came into us.
yeah, but I believe they said it was their exit.
yeah, it looks like they put on here exit sign for community center. Did we get an invoice from them on what they actually, because I've got
All they
their
did-
remittance slip, but all it shows is that they paid right in
No, we
the
got an
shop.
invoice, we did get an actual invoice from them.
Did Sherry get that?
Yeah, it came to you.
Isn't it attached?
Yeah, she did
That's
get
something
it.
I've got.
Well, no, I guess what I'm saying is, we have an invoice from the Village of Chippewa Lake,
Right.
saying that they got the sign replaced.
Oh,
There's
you
no,
want the sign, the company that did it. We replaced it completely.
no, I get that, but I guess what I'm saying is, if we were reimbursing anybody for work that was done, we would get an invoice, like, for the work that was done. We wouldn't just let them say, I paid, you know, this company X number of
As far as
dollars.
I'm aware, we did get that. I will check with Matt though to receive it. If it's not there, I know
It's
I did
not.
see it within the file a few weeks ago, cause Al reached out to me about it to tell me, so I will pull it off and send it to you so you can see the official one. But it did get sent, I think it was sent to all of us, or just to service.
I did not see anything from Chippewa Lake on it. Like I said, I mean, they sent us their invoice, like, they invoiced us.
Yeah, no,
for the
I'll
damage, but
check
there's
with
nothing
him with Matt as well,
that shows
though,
it
to
is.
ensure that we receive all of it,
Okay.
and then I'll forward you on the copy.
And then, Sherry, the only thing that I didn't see on the vouchers, we had the service charges for Huntington.
It's because I'm waiting to do the bank rec, I don't put those in until I do it.
Okay, but
Westfield
those
and
are,
I have been going back and forth, they can't get me into the Westfield accounts for some reason, and I was on the phone with her all day today too, and she called me like 4:30, she called me back and gave me another lady's number at corporate to work with, but, so I was waiting to just put them all at the same time when I do the bank rec, that's all.
Okay. but they're from Westfield or Huntington?
No, I mean, when I do the bank rec, I put all the service charges in. for
Gotcha, but
everybody.
you can't do the bank rec because Westfield, we're having
Right,
issues with the
'cause I'm not-
Westfield
I can't
accounts
reconcile
with their
them both
switch.
yet, yeah, so.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll do that when hopefully tomorrow I can get credentials to get in there, I don't know what the problem is.
And then, the check for Zach Albrecht,
I have no idea what that is, that's just, I've never paid for a easement in 30 years, so I'm not sure why we're paying
That's
for
the
it.
easement, that's for Banish Road. I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is, but the easement agreement, we've got a notarized copy of the easement that says that Zachary K. Albrecht, the grants are for and in consideration of, bear with me here, in consideration of $219.67 and for other good and valuable considerations to him paid by the Board of County Commissioners of Medina County, Ohio. So why are we paying it?
I don't know, actually, I didn't actually see that.
I don't even know who,
Yeah.
I called and I said, who left this, that's the thing we gotta get straight, and I've had this conversation with Justin 2 times. You people just, or not you, but they just throw stuff on my desk with crappy handwriting, I don't even know whose it is.
Yeah.
Please issue a check to Zach Albright, okay. But I don't even know who asked for it, why it's there.
I know it came to the
So-
prosecution's office at one
Yeah, no,
point.
this-
Yeah, but
this-
I never
this-
saw that pricing, and we've never signed for anything
No,
either as a
we didn't
board.
sign for anything as a board,
And we haven't
and
agreed any payments.
one, based on this, you know, easement drafted by the prosecutor's office, it's the county commissioners are obligated to pay it, so.
So they're billing us for it instead, yeah.
Well, I don't know if they're billing us, but where the communication is, we've got, I would pull this one
Yeah,
from the listing. And then to kind of piggyback with what Sherry's saying, we've got a $2,121.57 invoice here from Silco Fire and Security. And I'm sure, you know, that all of this is, you know, fine and dandy, but like, where and when did we ever discuss doing this?
I went to the admin building the other day and that's when I found the guy doing a service on things. I did ask him about it and he said it's an ongoing service contract we have with them. I asked him to pull the details for me and to give it to me. He said I haven't received anything yet. I think that was on Friday when I went in. But as far as I'm aware, I tried to track back over the emails to see if I could find anything. But I couldn't see anything from them. What they said they were doing is they were doing the lights within our exit signs. They were servicing those and they were servicing our fire things. And I said, well, I've never seen it or heard of them until I saw their truck outside the building. But they were there, and I asked him and I said, well, can you please provide us with a contract then? Because I have concerns as to why you were in our building doing an inspection on things. And he said it's an annual inspection they've been doing for a while, but I don't remember it even being before the board before this.
And it doesn't, I mean, the invoice isn't even for an annual inspection. I mean, there are inspections. It looks like they inspected 19 of our fire extinguishers, you know, the tamper seals,
Yeah,
and replaced some stuff. So again, I mean, it's not that,
And they upgraded to 10 pound from 5 pound.
what's that?
When I asked Ben about it, they upgraded from 5 pound extinguishers to 10 pounds on some.
But this is the type, I mean, and this is kind of what Sherry was talking about too,
Yeah.
is the fact that we need to clean up the process of like, you know, how these decisions get made and who has like the authority,
the authority
right? Like,
agreed to it, yeah.
just because we're doing them, I mean, we talked about like, you know, well, yeah, exactly, like who's got what spending authority, where,
And I think when I talked to Matt about it, because I kind of stopped him and asked him about it, and I said, what is the guy doing? And, you know, tell me more about it. And Matt said, he said, because he kind of believed what the guy said, which is they've been doing it for the past few years. And I said, well, just because they say they've been doing it, and he said, well, he let the guy to continue doing the admin building, with the exit signs. They had a look at that, but I did say to him, we need to pull this and find more information about why they're doing it when we've never seen it before the board before.
yeah.
And I tried to check the minutes. I looked back over the last 2 years and I can't see them in the minutes either. And I meant to ask you if you've ever seen any of the bills for it.
I mean, we do it annually everywhere I work.
This guy said he was in on Friday looking at the fire extinguishers.
I think it was
That's what
Thursday
they
or
do, you have to
Friday.
have them
Oh.
tested every year.
There was a fire extinguisher guy here a couple months ago looking at stuff.
I was doing H and
Well,
M or
these-
something or.
I would say this has to have been older than that, cause these invoices
Because he only
are-
just came in this past week.
I'm not sure exactly when, you know, these invoices are from, 2 of them are from early February, and this one's from March 27th, so I mean, one of them's probably more recent, but this has obviously been something that's been ongoing and just got us all the invoices. But, you know, I think we're gonna need to revisit kind of the process for
Because
getting
this
these
is one
types
of
of
the things,
approvals.
is I think there's a lot of what was done prior by the previous director, and that miscommunication, and this is why I think it's honing in to make sure we've not got companies coming in like this.
Yeah, you didn't pay them anything in 25.
You
Well,
see,
I
I
think that's-
couldn't find anything.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's, I guess, where we need to maybe revisit with the department heads too, and let them know that, like, you know, obviously we talked about it during the budget meeting. You know, there are certain appropriations that are set, and, you know, like, Matt brought up the fact that, like, we appropriated money for, you know, small tools and stuff like that. He
Yeah.
doesn't need to come to the board every time we're gonna be doing, you know,
Yeah.
right, exactly, so,
Yeah.
so the idea is he needs to be making sure that he keeps track of, you know, his appropriations and what's been assigned for that, he should be keeping track of what's open on the blanket for being able to
Yeah.
do that, so that's what we task the department heads with. But when it comes to these larger one-off purchases,
Well,
these types of
I'm
things.
all the way back in 22, and you guys have never paid Silco, so somebody had to
Yeah.
call and have them come in.
Right, so we need to make sure that, you know, we're revisiting with everybody that, you know, those types of decisions need to come through. The only other thing that I wanna bring up, cause it didn't get discussed, we have the 47789, we've had the issues with the, website. Domain registration was tied to an email address that we no longer have access
That's
to.
one of the contacts.
Abby had been helping us out with that. We thought we had everything resolved. I wanna say it was like Tuesday of last week. We got the email that, the registration was expired and we were gonna be losing access to .com, which would have lost all of our emails as well. So I did, front domain registration. I wasn't able to get a hold of Sherry right away for the credit card, so I just paid that. That's the 47789, which
Okay.
is domain registration for the next 10 years. So the .com's taken care of, we won't have this annual issue. We can transition, hopefully this year, the, website, or the emails over along with the website, get to the .gov, and then eventually we'll let the .com probably expire in the future. But for now, you know, we've done enough stuff with the .com that we don't probably wanna allow that to fall into somebody else's hands, should somebody
Yeah.
else wanna purchase that. So, just wanted to clarify that, cause that wasn't something that we had talked about
I thought that was
previously as the
your
board.
reimbursement actually,
Yeah, no, that's
so,
for the township website, and I don't know if you wanna, we'll probably be best to do it at the next meeting when next year, Sherry, I know you had mentioned maybe wanting to switch the way that we do credit cards, you know, we kinda gone back and forth on that, do you wanna get into that tonight, or?
Well,
do
my
it?
suggestion was, cause it's, Huntington's credit cards are, their whole process is just insane anyway, but in my opinion, we should have like a Capital One or something, for as much money as we spend, get something with rewards. You don't get anything from Huntington, except for a bill, you know?
Yeah.
And for what we spend, I mean, compared to other places that I work, we get $500-600 a month in returns, rewards, so I mean, we can always make some money off of what you're doing, instead of letting Huntington make all the money off of it.
Our credit card policy in the past has always been pretty restrictive, because the way that we've handled it is the fiscal officer basically handled all of the credit cards, and it was kind of a sign-out basis, which worked when you had things that were planned ahead, you know, or like if people were going to a conference, or, you know, we were gonna
Yeah.
be doing a one-off. Do you have something that you would suggest, or can you maybe pull something from one of the other
Yeah, cause what I do is like,
villages and
11 other
see?
villages have, everybody has their own credit card, the mayor, myself, the council president, my street guy, my water and sewer guy. So everybody has their own credit card, it all says Village Spencer, but their name is on it and their social security number is attached to it. So at the end of the day, they are ultimately responsible for that card, but
Okay.
they, you know, but we would have to rewrite the credit card policy definitely.
So,
That
so
thing's
let's maybe
pretty
work on that, cause like I said, we talked about it, I'm not necessarily in love with the idea of doing that, but, you know, for the one-off situations, or again, when we travel for the annual conference and stuff like that, sometimes it makes it easier than
Right.
having to do
Cause
all
we
the
had to do all the
reimbursement
reimbursements,
stuff.
didn't we, yeah.
So, something to look at, but,
Yeah.
alright, so, for the township then, we're gonna pull
So,
just the check, so. let me update these numbers.
Oh yeah, they're gonna approve subject too, from last one. But that's, I left the check in there.
Yeah, that's not due till the next one, let's not race to pay it.
I want her to fix it, let's pay it.
Well, we'll pay her if she fixes it. If she doesn't fix it, why should we pay her? So that will make the check total $4,814.80. Warrants, or the electronic payments, $25,761.84. So, total payments of $30,576.64, and I would make the motion to pay the warrants of the township.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we will submit this. We'll be in with the minutes. Alright. We did the payroll. Alright, fire district side, we have, fire department payroll for the pay period of March 15th through March 28th, totaling $27,885.53. I would make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Fire districts. Warrants, did you get a chance to go through those ones?
Yep.
Alright. we already talked about it, obviously, the amount's gonna be high because of the workers' comp, the vast majority of that falls on the fire district side of things, so I have, electronic payments of $60,358.96, physical checks, 2174 through 2183, in the amount of $8,425.84. Total warrants for the fire district, $68,784.80. I will make the motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Also submitted with the minutes. Alright. Sherry, did you have anything else we needed to cover under fiscal?
No, I'm good.
Alright, thank you. Alright. Correspondence, we did get a letter from the Medina County Parks District in regards to 10 parcels over to the south of Main Drive. They had been put up for public bidding.
Yeah.
There were no public entities interested, so they did just want to notice that we made available to the public for bidding. It'll be posted in the Gazette on April 3rd, 10th, 17th, and 24th, and all sealed bids are due by 4 p.m. on May 2026. The only other one that I had, I don't know if you'd had a chance to work on it yet or not, but we had a resident that had reached out to us about some safety concerns on
Yeah.
162 at the entrance to Shadow Creek Drive. Wanted to see about possibly what the
They want
township's,
a light, don't they?
like a
Yeah.
traffic light,
Yeah.
like not a traffic light, just like a street light
Yeah.
to add to that. So I didn't know if you had a chance to reach out to him, or if you wanted to maybe work with the service department. And
Yeah,
see.
no, I did talk to Matt today about it a bit more, and just to see what the best option is on it. We're gonna do our little drive round and just check to see exactly how close it is to Lincoln, but yeah. But I haven't reached out because I wanted to know what Matt's thoughts were for the service department on it as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But would
It's
you be
under
able to?
discussion, yeah.
You want to follow up with it
Yeah.
this week? Okay. Excellent. All right. Unresolved business. I'm not sure where we are with. Have we
Still
heard anything?
waiting,
Still waiting.
no.
Okay. So for the appointment of the official meeting recorder and the handbook, you're still working on the handbook one
Yeah.
as well. All right. Reserve funding we discussed a little bit last week. You and Nick should both have all of the information that I have. What we can obviously discuss that at the next meeting. The other item that we talked about was with our health insurance renewal. Renewal due date is May 1st. Sherry, did Frank get a hold of you? Okay, are we all square on form fire? Alright, so then the only other thing that we need to talk about, I think, Carrie, I hope you've had a chance to talk to Scott Massey with GDK a couple of times. He's been looking at potentially seeing if he could assist the township in shopping the plan. Frank has come around a little bit more here the last year, that, he knows that there's somebody else that's, reached out to the township to try to help, just so that everybody has a little background. We've used the same insurance broker for probably 30 years, and it is one that, is kind of affiliated through Ohio Township Association, and he's done a good job, but, in my opinion, it's been a little bit kind of pulling teeth with him to get him to take our plan out to market. It's, we get our renewals every year, and it's kind of like, these are good, they compare well against the state, so, he hasn't really been eager to do a full, shop the market, get bids from other providers. Scott has, been kind of offering his assistance for the last year plus, and trying to do this, so, for us, I guess the decision point is, we can do a broker of record change. That would move the plan to a new broker. It will not jeopardize anything that we're currently doing, but it would allow Scott ample time to, or, GDK Insurance to go to the marketplace and shop with other providers. We could have Frank do the exact same thing, but for me, I think it's more just the whole, we shouldn't have to beg him to shop the plans for us. I think the one maybe part that we missed at the last meeting was, competing broker is probably not going to be interested in shopping the plan if we're not gonna switch it. So, that's, I guess, the decision point for us, right? do we want to give Frank a chance to shop the plants this year and give him one more year with them? Or do we want to do a broker change? Our renewals, you know, our renewals will be the same or better, because Scott will go to the market, but we should hopefully have a broker that we don't have to,
He's
you know,
been difficult,
force.
yeah, it has been difficult to get hold of him and talk to him about things. That has been, you know, getting information from him and things. When
you're talking about with Frank.
Frank, and I did have a conversation with him, might have been last week, I know it's since the last meeting, about whether he can shop for him or not, and what his thoughts were, and had he, you know, looked into it. He's not keen on doing that. He kind of wants the status quo the way it is. He
Correct, he
likes,
doesn't wanna do the extra work.
which kind of the alarm bells go up a little bit, because it's like, you know, are we looking at potentially having, not fully looking at the market to see whether we've got the best deal or not, but he wasn't keen on doing it for us. He said he would if the board decided on that. So that was just my only concern when I sort of talked to him. I know when I talked with Scott, Scott was very much about shop the market, because he said at the end of the day is you don't know what's out there unless you start pulling that and finding we might find a better deal. My only, you know, when I talk with both of them is I do not want to do anything that damages our employees getting good
Agreed.
benefits. And that's
Agreed.
my one concern is if we switch, are we gonna end up in a situation where the employees feel like they have to go elsewhere or ask for a pay rise, because if it
Well,
changes the plan too much?
I'm not planning, at least my thoughts are, not that we're gonna change the plan in any way, shape, or form, it's that, you know, kind of what we talked about, and we've talked about this a number of times, you know, the renewal rates that we have are good. It was like 4.2%.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, you know, but we also, that's also an increase from where we were last year. So we just assumed that we had competitive rates last year, and that's why the whole shopping process is important in my opinion, right? You know, you have, they might be the best, they might not. The only way you know
Is by
is if
shopping.
you go out to the market, right? So that's where it's always been, to me, is, you know, we should be shopping it every year. The board last year took the step to require that anybody that participates in the plan fill out the form fire, the medical
Yeah.
questionnaire. It's, you know, for that express purpose, is to be able to go to the market every year. Now, we may very well find out that the current plan is the best price plan, that the renewal is the best price plan, but the only way that we can say that with any level of confidence is if we go to the market and do it. So, you know, I don't wanna keep belaboring the point. I guess the
Yeah.
decision for us right now is whether, you know, we need to make a decision on either, you know, we've got everything done now, Frank can take it to the market, and we can go, or we need to authorize, you know, probably one representative from the board and Sherry, cause she's the plan administrator,
Yeah,
to initiate a broker of record change, get the plan switched over to Scott. He again, he can shop we're not giving up the ability to keep the exact same plan at the current renewal. He works with the same insurance
yeah,
company,
he
so.
said, yeah.
So we can't possibly wind up in a worse situation minus the service. You know, the service would be the only piece of it, right? And, you know, that's, I think, if I'm hearing you correctly, that's the same concern
Yeah.
that you have is the concern with that. So, you know, what are your thoughts? Like,
I like the fact Scott's local, I do, and I think that the fact that he was very responsive, he came back to us, well, he knew there was a new boarding place, he was very, you know, hey, I want to introduce myself to you. I think it would be wise to probably switch to Scott and let him
Okay.
shop.
well then, I would make a motion that we authorize Sherry and the board chair to initiate a broker of record change to switch our current plan from Ohio Insurance Services with Frank Harmon to Scott Nasi at GDK.
Yeah.
And then, once we get that initiated and started, he can get the plan out to market, because we do have all the form fire stuff done, and then we can make a decision on the renewal at one of our meetings in April.
Yeah,
Hopefully, we should have everything back by the April 28th meeting.
and I know the staff are all done there.
Yeah, those are all
so
done.
everyone's done.
Alright,
Okay,
so I made the motion.
I will second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The only other thing we had on unresolved business, leadership Medina County, and I do appreciate you putting me in
She was
contact with
out,
them.
she was away for nearly a week.
I
so-
did talk with Chief a bit about it, and I think, you know, where we're at with what we're trying to do with the budget for this year, you know, I'm just not sure this is the year to do it, maybe potentially do it in the future. So we can leave it, I know you had recused yourself from the conversation, we can always leave it on the agenda for next week, but unless you're gonna unrecuse yourself, I'm not interested in moving forward with that for right now. So, you know, I would say let's pull it off the agenda, you know, we've talked about
I would put
wanting to
it
keep
off the
track of it.
agenda because, I agree, it's an excellent program,
And we can revisit it maybe
Yeah.
for next year.
yeah.
Okay, alright, so then, that's that. New business. I just listed this on here, not necessarily to finalize anything tonight, but I think in talking with Sherry, we obviously have a well-established public records policy. And I don't think there's anything wrong with our public records policy. It's just maybe a better way of finding a way to handle the requests when they come in, so that the entire burden doesn't fall on Sherry to manage completely. And then also to give the board some visibility to see kind of, well, cause a lot of times the requests that come in are things that we may have, right? Like, we've had
Yeah.
several requests for certain emails or certain
Yeah,
documents that we're working on. So maybe just to start the process of kind of thinking about how that looks, and maybe getting Sherry's input on, you know, how she's the custodian of record, but that doesn't mean that she has to be the one that does all of the fulfilling of the public records request. So how can we maybe streamline the processing piece of it to help alleviate some of that burden on her?
and I also, cause I know I've had to talk to Kristen a few times about, you know, some requests that come in and things, that log is not always synchronized, she doesn't always know what Sherry received sometimes as well. And we don't have an overabundance of them anyway, do we? But it would be good if, I
It's
think.
been light lately,
Yeah.
from what I've seen.
Well, even I tracked like the last 2 or 3 years, you know, and even the last year and a half, we haven't had a lot come in. But it would be nice, even as a board, you know, if it's something that we can do to help Sherry, and it's a document we've got, and we can just put it on that log to say that we've.
It just
submitted
depends what it is, cause some are very,
Yeah, there might not be a lot.
There's a
You had
lot.
very in-depth one,
I
didn't
mean,
you?
the last one.
yeah, I mean, it's not like,
Nineteen 1972 to present, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I haven't even seen.
I mean, yeah, there might not be a lot,
Yeah,
but there's a lot that has to, they're big asks.
Extensive.
Yes,
Yeah, that- I
extensive
know that one we had
research and
recently was,
extensive
wasn't it, with
documents, yeah.
it would be nice though as a board member though, as boards to be able to see what's coming in.
Yeah, I
Kristen,
mean,
I know you've done in the past with some documents that you could put on like the OneDrive, the shared drive for us.
Yeah,
Is
I
there-
think I did put that one on there when we first found it,
Okay.
after Sherry took over and we first knew about it, cause I didn't even know it existed. I thought I put it on there and that it could be edited, so we
Well,
could all.
That was gonna be what I was gonna ask you, is maybe there's a way, if you wanna double check, while you're in, you know, this week, maybe find a way, I don't know that we want everybody to be able to edit it, right? Like, I think that's
Yeah,
something that
that's-
maybe you and
Well-
Sherry, if there's a way to.
For me and Sherry to be able to add when they come in.
Well, like, so that you guys have edit ability on it, right?
Okay.
Because cause ultimately, we don't wanna put everybody get everybody involved and make the situation worse, right?
Mhm.
Like, if everybody's updating this or documenting that, right? Cause we still wanna have one point person that kinda acts as the final go-between on that, right? And that probably needs to be Sherry still, or yourself, right? So, you know, when the request comes in, you guys can put them in there, but somewhere where the trustees can see what's being done, so that we can help facilitate maybe getting those to you, so that they aren't there, instead of always having to just fire off an email and somebody forgets to follow up on this, that, or the other, and then we can incorporate that in what we're doing to maybe make sure we're staying on top of those, cause we had one request that unfortunately, I think, predated Sherry even coming in,
Oh,
and then it was
yes.
extensive, and then we'd asked the applicant to narrow it down, and I think he got kinda shuffled between people doing things, so we're working on getting that resolved for him now, but, you know, we're trying to head off anything like that happening in the future. So, if you can double check on that, and then
Yeah.
maybe we'll come up with like a workflow that we can present, you know, at the next meeting to help with those. And then we had a late ad this morning, you had, wanted to cover township mowing.
Yeah, we're at that time of year again where we gotta start mowing. I know that you received all, so the township were looking at ideas of how the best way of handling the mowing for the season is, previously we've always had a seasoned person come in and manage the mowing themselves. One person has done it as a seasonal worker. What the service department looked into was, would it be more beneficial to contract out the mowing so that they can work on projects? Because last year we did not have a seasonal worker, and that caused a few other problems going forward, where we had a lot of trees, a lot of the ditches that needed to be cleared couldn't get done because they were spending a lot of time mowing. And to sort of give you an idea, the mowing hours roughly, I think, it could go up to 1,500 in hours, which is quite a significant amount of hours for mowing. And if you're pulling out our service department to go and do that for the three of them, that costing was, I mean, you saw that forced account figure was ever so high. I mean, I think it sort of fell into $75,000 if we were to get just our service crew to do this, which is a significant number. So then I asked the service department then to have a look at if we contracted out. So they got 3 bids out. The one bid came in, the first one came in at $37,050. And in our township we've got 8 areas to mow. Some of the areas are significant, and some of them are a little more fiddly into sort of off the roads type thing though. What this contract would be looking at would just be mowing these particular areas, because we do have a part-time guy who comes in, he's seasonal, and he does all of the culverts and the sort of
Roadside,
berms,
yeah.
roadsides and things, so we keep them on, to point. So the first bid was 37, the next bid we had was 47,250, and then we had another one which came in at, it was 1,585, which is a significant difference, isn't it? That one.
But that was
on a
the
weekly fee, so I can't remember the figure now, I read it down somewhere,
Right.
as a final figure. So,
I don't remember
did
seeing
you
that.
not see that one?
Matt mentioned he had a third one coming in.
It
but
did
I
come
didn't-
on the emails yesterday,
Okay.
I think, last night, I think.
Yeah.
So there were significant sort of fees, when we were looking at it, and we had a conversation about it. So what I did then was do a force, accounting, with another seasonal person, in previous years, who was our seasonal worker. He mowed at $16 per hour, and I sort of calculated out how many hours he was doing. He came in at just over 6,000, I think Sherry said it wasn't 6,000 something today.
$15.
Yeah, that's $15 an hour, wasn't it? Yeah, thank you. So then I thought, well, with the change 2-year gap between it, looking at the pricing, if we were to employ someone on a seasonal basis at $16 an hour and they were to mow, how much that would cost. If they were mowing at the rate, which would be 896 hours total, and that's running from April all the way till the end of October. Now, granted, if we have very hot weather, they won't mow, so they won't get paid. But if it was perfect weather, that would cost the township $14,336. So it doesn't make sense in my mind to outsource it, because that is such a hefty difference in doing it. The only issue when I talk with, and I've sort of put feelers out for a seasonal worker, it's very hard to find someone who wants to do it, because we've got to be retired or usually a college student. Now, I did contact and speak with the Career Centre and a few others, and there potentially could be some college students or high school kids that might want to do it, but it's not guaranteed. So the board, we have to decide whether we want to stick to the path of a seasonal person, at potentially, let's say, worst case scenario, it does cost. The other factor that came in is, although we're paying the employee at $16 an hour, we have to factor in the cost of running a mower. So on that forced accounting it was calculated out that each mower costs $3.92 for every hour that they mow, because that's gas, that's all sorts of things factored in and maintenance. So if we were to put it all together, it would be $17,000 with the cost of the mowing with things. So I think one of the things is what direction do we want to go with the board then? What makes more fiscal sense? Or are we looking long term to outsource this to a point and have a contractor so we don't have to worry about this? But I just think it's double that pay. That's a huge amount of our budget.
Well, I think one of the things in talking with Matt that he had mentioned to me, at least, being the reasoning behind it was, we tend to contract out some of our patchwork,
Yeah,
and that is something that we could then do in-house if we weren't
it's
doing
offsetting,
this.
yeah.
So the increased cost here would come back in as savings. Now, obviously, we'd wanna see some of those numbers, so I don't know where he's at. I know he did the force account calculation for figuring out kind of what rough idea of what we spend, paying
Yeah.
our guys, right? Like, I mean, contracting out the mowing is gonna be less than what we pay our service director hourly, right? So if he can be utilized other places, that's just the part that I'm not sure on, right?
And that's
Like,
that's what we were running back with today. I had that conversation with him on.
But the other question too is, where are we at with, service department staffing? Because if we're doing all the mowing in-house, we probably do need to be up to 3 service members right off the rip.
Yeah.
I think originally when, Matt mentioned to me the idea of potentially outsourcing the mowing, the thought process was that this would alleviate some of the labor stress in the short term, because we do have the, work agreement with Chad. Where Joe from Chad can come out and work, Ben and Matt can go out there, and kind of
Yeah.
trade hours when we need a third person potentially for a specific type of project. They can do some of that trade-off during the summer, so, I don't know if we have enough information to make that decision yet. Obviously, the grass is starting to mow with all the, we're not mowing anything this week probably, but,
No.
has Matt had a chance to do anything with, cause obviously if we outsource the mowing as well, we don't need to maintain, upkeep, and have all the equipment that we currently have.
Yeah, so we looked at, if we were to sell, we've got 4 mowers. One we believe belongs to the fire department and the others belong to the township. So if we were to sell 2 of the mowers, we would probably get 10,000 for each of them back on that if we were to sell them. So we kind of like bounce the numbers back and forward about what would be the best idea going forward. The downside though is if the cost goes up too much out of the contractor, we don't have the mowers in-house then, if we were to sell them.
Sure.
And then on your point about the patchwork, I know Matt was looking at the machine cost of buying that. I don't think we got all of the invoices yet through for that particular costing on it.
Well, that was the grader he was talking
Yeah,
about, right?
that's it, yeah. So I think it's one of those things. I think if we outsource it and we have the grader done and they can do the patchwork ourselves, I do think that is probably the best way of doing it for us as a township. I'm looking at the cost of how much our patchworking is generally, and that's a significant amount of our budget that they spend on that every year. And when you look against the cost for the mowing, I think it would make more sense to outsource it in that regard, and we do our in-house patching ourselves.
Okay, so do we have enough information to move forward tonight? Do you wanna wait until the next meeting? We can always schedule a special meeting. if
I think we might have to
do
schedule,
it, but-
because I was talking to one of the companies as well. One guy, 2 of them were waiting on not taking another contract
Sure.
because they
They're-
like how,
Schedules are gonna be filling up,
Yeah.
but yeah,
so we
we've
kind of
got-
got to do, it's
we've
like
got
we're on,
volume that some
yeah.
places don't have.
So I think one of the things then is if we move forward, there is one particular one that I would move forward with, and for Matt then to go purchase the machine to do the in-house patching and things. I think it would make sense to make a decision, because we're gonna end up losing and not having anyone on the contract then.
Don't you have to bid out those lawnmowers, because you say.
Yeah, so we haven't gone that far with that as
You
well.
say you're gonna get 10 grand, but if you get 3, you're gonna.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's it, when we were looking at the pricing, we're not factoring that into
Yeah, I wouldn't put that into
this.
decision making.
No, it was more about, this would come back to us somehow, even if, we got, less than that, that was Ben's sort of estimate of what the pricing was, he kinda did a little bit of checking for me on it. I don't know, the one that stands out to me is the one that comes in at 37,050.
Right,
It's such a significant difference, he's a local person,
I think all three of them are actually local though, so that, I mean, for what
I
that's
think
worth.
one lives in the township, I think, is a
So,
township resident.
Are they both all or nothing? Cause the pricing's kinda all over the place too, I mean, I shouldn't say all over the place, but like, they bid each of the 8 locations independently.
Yes.
They're fairly close, but, there's.
The one guy does do Chatham currently, and has got a good, I did talk to them about them as a company, because I wanted to make sure, and I thought, well, let's see what they do. And Chatham are very happy with them, and their services, and I think they've been contracting Chatham for a while now. So I would like to see us go with, Outlast Lawn Care for the 37,050, and then do our in-house patching ourselves.
Um,
Can I say something?
Yes.
yeah,
Just
please.
from a financial standpoint.
Yeah.
Which is fine, I mean, where you decided to do on that. Honestly, at the end of the day, I would not sell those mowers at all, because what if it falls through, and those mowers cost
That's what
$37,000?
they are
We-
I would
we
not sell them
wanna-
until you know it's actually gonna work out
We wanna see a plan.
over a couple years span before you just, because then you're gonna have to start all over from scratch.
Did Nick, and actually we should have asked, but I mean, Nick's back this weekend, is he not? If we were to schedule something for Monday to just do a short,
He's,
I don't know when it's coming.
I can tell you when he's back. He is back.
well, I just feel like this is a big enough.
I'd like him-
There are enough
Variables,
questions that I
yeah.
would wanna have answered still before we pulled the trigger on something like this. Cause I lean towards the thought process is solid, outsourcing something that we can, we're overpaying our guys to mow grass.
Yeah,
Like,
and we got big projects we
and,
gotta
and we
get
have
done.
to, but we need to make sure that it actually makes sense to do it, cause
Yeah.
it's not like, adding $30,000 that we weren't originally planning on spending.
Yeah,
Especially when you start to factor in, we will probably need to look at making an equipment purchase for them to be able to do
Yeah.
everything that we contract out with the patchwork. So, I know we had talked about the possibility that we might be able to just borrow the grader from the county for the short term. Potentially look at, they're not using it at all from what I understand, so,
yeah,
the possibility of maybe being able to give it a test run this summer to see if it's worth buying, before just buying a used piece of equipment that may or may not be up to par. Cause if we wind up contracting out the mowing and then turning around and having to contract out the patchwork too,
we've got, we're
we've kind of,
in a worse situation, yeah.
we
than
haven't,
yeah.
we definitely haven't made a good financial decision, so,
So Nick's
um,
back on the 6th, so he's back on the Monday, so I think he said he might be available on the 7th.
okay.
So if we wanna do another meeting.
We don't
especially
necessarily need to
Wednesday.
schedule it right now.
No,
like,
but yeah, we can do it
let's-
then.
Let's try to get early next week, and then I would, if you would, maybe check with Matt and see if either of these guys are, like, if all of these bids are kinda like, since they quoted everything individually, are they all or nothing? Or if we gave
There's no.
half to one, half to another, not only do I think.
They only wanna do it as
That's
one,
all?
yeah, I did ask that question, they said it isn't worth splitting it.
Okay. Alright, but yeah, I would like to maybe get a little more info before we commit ourselves to a course of action that may or may
Yeah.
not save us money.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Alright. So the only other things that I have then are, administrative announcements. Obviously, we have the bunny pictures here this weekend. April 4th from 10 to noon. Township cleanup days will be April 20th to June 19th. They've asked us not to release any of the vouchers until April 20th, so unfortunately we can't be giving those out until then, but we'll have those. The only other thing that I wanted to touch on.
And you can't pick up someone else's.
Correct.
You have to pick up only yours.
Yes.
One per household.
and bring your, some proof of ID, or proof of address.
Yeah, if you don't
So-
have a driver's license, bring like a utility bill with your address.
And then the only other thing that I had, I don't wanna get the date wrong, but I believe it was our meeting on the 3rd. We had approved the facility use form for the firefighters association for the pancake breakfast pending, an updated form completed with the initialing. Kristen, have you received anything? I haven't seen anything come in. So, as it stands, until that is sent in, that has not been approved, so just wanted to put that out there.
There's no conditions on what you mailed. There's no conditions on what you approved that night. Go back and watch the footage. No conditions were put on it.
It's on the
There's
recording,
no
it's on the
conditions
minutes.
put on it during the meeting,
Okay,
and the email received at 9 AM the next day contained no conditions.
okay.
They were added 5 days later.
It was on the form that you signed, correct? The
No,
condition-
I signed the form.
The acknowledgements were on the top that you did not initial, correct?
They were initialed.
No, they
As we
were
agreed.
NA,
Yeah.
yeah, NA,
Correct.
right here, okay. So, again, as the last motion.
And again, you have a line on there that says conditions. Is anything marked?
No,
Under
it
your
says-
signature?
It says required certifications initial each.
Eh.
I'm not interested in arguing this, this is
Well,
the form that's been put out.
Because you want to avoid the fact that you failed to enforce your own rules.
No, this
You
is
put no conditions on the signed paperwork.
correct, because there are no conditions, but it's just like the town hall rental agreement where there are certain rules that are put in place for using it, and you have to initial that you acknowledge that you understand those rules in order to take it. So, again, the board is authorized use as long as the form is filled out accurately and completely. Without doing that, the firefighters association will not be using the town hall on the dates requested. And with that, we will open the floor for public meeting, or for public comment. Anyone? 2 meetings in a row. Alright, well, with that, we will move on to trustee comments.
I don't have any.
Let me see here, did we cover everything we needed to?
Yeah, it's just,
I believe we did, so with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. No, I need a
no,
motion.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I will second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is 7:57, meeting is adjourned.